From my book, The Search for Being, John L. Holland's perspective, Understanding the Person-Environment Fit. How well we can express our being is not only dependent on the confirmation we receive, on how well we know ourselves, but also on the environments we find ourselves in. The typology model of John L. Holland focuses on the pressure exerted by the environment we function in. His theory helps us to look at the environment we live and work in and see how well they match our personality type. Holland's theory stipulates there are 6 occupational personality types with different characteristics and abilities, and there are 6 different work environments. How we behave, the theory says, is determined by our person-environment fit. The 6 personality types are labeled realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional. The types are arranged in a hexagon in a clockwise direction in that order, with the categories next to each other being closely related. Thus, there would be a great deal of psychological distance between an artistic type and a conventional type, which are on opposite sides of the hexagon, and consequently would be expected to have very different personality patterns. While some people might resemble only one of the 6 types, and some others might resemble all 6 of the types, most people fall in between these 2 extremes, primarily resembling one type, but exhibiting secondary and tertiary resemblance to other types. Hence, a person might be classified as an artistic, social, investigative type, who would primarily exhibit artistic characteristics, secondarily resemble social types, and have some investigative traits. When a person's personality and environment match, Holland's theory says, they're apt to be more satisfied and attain greater achievement in the environments they are in. Environments that fit our personalities would be environments that use our talents, skills, and interests. If you are a social type in a realistic environment, you won't have the opportunities to express your being that you'd have in a social environment. If you are an artistic type in an environment where almost all the other people are social types, the theory says, there will be pressures exerted on you to display social traits, while the artistic traits of your being might be unstimulated and not reinforced. What type an environment is, the theory holds, will be determined by the personality type that dominates it. Thus, if the greatest percentage of types in a college are investigative types, that college would be categorized as investigative. But there might be sub-environments in the college too, Holland tells us, where one's experience might be different. For instance, you might take an English class where the atmosphere might be artistic. Other factors which impact on the experience we have in an environment, Holland says, are how long we are there, which types wield the power in it, how we perceive it, and its size. But depending on their type, we can expect that environments will offer opportunities consistent with the type that dominates it, encourage activities that type likes to do, make reinforcements available that are valued by that type, and promote that type's definition of achievement. In an artistic environment, for instance, you have the opportunity to engage in artistic activities. Your emotional, expressive, imaginative, intuitive side would be encouraged. If you were in an artistic environment, if you were an artistic type who liked to create with ideas and materials, who thrived on creative expression, who withered under routines and conformity to rules, being in an artistic environment where innovation was rewarded, where unconventional ideas were appreciated, and aesthetic values predominated, would be the perfect match for your type. In a conventional environment, you would have the opportunity to do things like record and organize data on records. Your clerical competencies would be developed. A conventional outlook would predominate. The expression of orderliness, conformity, and dependability would be expected. If you were a methodical, orderly, practical, and an efficient conventional type, This is the atmosphere you'd be most comfortable in. It would be an atmosphere that used the clerical, computational, or business system abilities you as a conventional type had. It would be an atmosphere where you as a conventional type could indulge your preference for orderly routines and the application of standards. In an enterprising environment, your ability to sell and to lead others would be stimulated. Pursuing money, power, status would be encouraged. If you were an enterprising type who valued material accomplishment and social status, this would be the place where you would find satisfaction. It would require the skills you have of persuading or manipulating others. It would reward the values of enterprising types of initiative and financial or material accomplishment. It allows enterprising types to work in a hierarchical system they are comfortable in, where they control or dominate others and are controlled by those higher up on the ladder. An enterprising environment encourages the leadership and interpersonal skills enterprising types have. In an investigative environment, investigative opportunities would be available. It rewards the investigative type for the scientific competencies he has. In an investigative environment, science values predominate. It reinforces people for being analytical, intellectual, and rational. It rewards people for using investigative abilities to solve problems. Here, investigative types who have scientific and mathematical abilities can use their talents. Investigative types, like researchers and doctors and technical workers in hospitals, can find the best fit for their scientific competencies in investigative environments. In a realistic environment, technical abilities are required. It provides the opportunity to use tools and machines, to engage in manual activities, opportunities to work outdoors, all things realistic types like to do. A realistic environment would allow a realistic type to express the technical competencies he has. A realistic environment is a place where the mechanical values realistic types have would be appreciated. It would demand the conforming behavior and practical accomplishment realistic types like. The traits of a realistic type, such as being thrifty, persistent, and practical, are reinforced in a realistic environment. A social environment would be a place that would give people the opportunity to develop their social competencies. It rewards people for developing social values. It gives reinforcement for being cooperative, kind, helpful, and understanding. If you were a social type who liked being a helper, who liked nurturing or aiding others in their development, this would be your niche. Here, a social type's patience, friendliness, warmth, and understanding would be appreciated. The social competencies that social types like to display are demanded in a social environment. Here, social types are rewarded for displaying the social values they have. They are reinforced for being cooperative, kind, helpful, and understanding. People tend to create an environment, Holland's theory holds, that reflects their type. Thus, if you are in an environment where the greatest percentage of people are of another type, your environmental experiences, demands, rewards, reinforcements, values will be more characteristic of their type than yours. Competencies may be demanded that they have and you don't. Stimulation to develop your type may be unavailable. In such situations, although Holland's model is primarily geared to helping people find a person-environment match in their work, it can be used to help you think about why a particular environment might be unstimulating, why it makes demands inconsistent with your being. If the environment you find yourself in doesn't allow you to express who you are, you can leave it, try to change it, or try to change yourself to fit in, Holland maintains. The more disparity there exists between you and the environment, the less apt you are to change it, Holland wrote, and trying to fit in might come at the expense of expressing your own unique nature. Some of the questions you may need to ask yourself are, What type am I? Artistic, social, realistic, enterprising, conventional, investigative? What type of an environment am I in? What is the type of the greatest percentage of people in that environment? Does their type dominate the environment? Is there pressure to adopt the values of this type? Are there opportunities to develop my own type, to express my own being? Are the demands in this environment consistent with my talents and skills? Does this environment stimulate my being or obstruct it? How well does this environment fit my type?